Alright guys, so welcome to week 2 of this FP&A Bootcamp. And in today's model, we're going to be looking into understanding accounting and advanced Excel, which is the second model for week 2. Previously, we discussed extensively on the fundamental of FP&A, everything you need to know, how FP&A create value, what it is, and how they shape decisions, usually in organizations, what roles they play, the impact, the link, and all of that. Right? After that, for those of you who were not present, I know the video has been made available. Please do well to go back to it and also watch the video just for you to have a quick grab of what it is, what the program is, and what we're actually discussing about, right? And in case you have any question as well, you can as well hit it on the group. I will take my time to answer them, right? And also, there are materials that are also accompanying with these videos. Do well to go through them. The materials are very easy peasy. They have been broken down, not well loaded, noisy like that, have been simplified in a way that you'll be able to understand even someone who does not have prior accounting or FP&A background can easily understand what it is, right? So today we're going to be discussing on accounting and advanced Excel, right? Why it matters, why accounting matters to having the knowledge of accounting matters to FP&A professionals, and also why you need to also leverage or improve more your Excel skill. So that's what we'll be looking at today, right? So on my second slide here, which will be talking more on accounting fundamentals, advanced Excel functions, the impact on FP&A, and data cleaning and structure. So these are the four pillars we will be discussing on today. The first here, which is the accounting fundamentals, which has to do with understanding journal entries, debit and credit, and FP&A impact. Now, like on the previous model, we actually emphasize what is FP&A and the difference between FP&A and that of accounting, right? What they do and how their work differs, how their work shaping this decision, right? So after looking at that, discussing extending on that aspect, we want to actually go into core accounting, which is also a fundamental skill that is required for this model, for this profession. For it, because most of the data you are going to be working with is more of accounting data uh, rather than random data like that, right? So it's also good that you have knowledge of accounting, the language you speak, and how you'll be able to navigate and interpret their numbers. So everything about finance, what I call the DNA of finance, all revolves in this accounting equation. We should always say assets equals to liability. Assets equals to liabilities plus equity. What it simply means that when you add, this is just like when you have assets, what the company owns, cash, receivable, and PP, right? That's when you get the word assets in finance and accounting, we're talking about what the company owns. It could be cash, it could be money that people are owing you, it could be plants and machinery. PPE here stand for plant and machinery, right? Plant and equipment, plant properties and equipment, right? So which falls under machinery, all those tangible stuff you can actually feel and touch, right? The liabilities on this other hand is what the company owns, like payables, loans that you took, accruals that you have not paid, accruals are short-term expenses that you have prioritized to pay within the period, and also vendors, payables, which also represent to vendors, people that you are owing, that you have bought from, and also loans that you have took to fund some projects or fund the business as well, right? They also have equity, which stands for the owner's stake. Written any and that is also the capital being contributed. Written any can be a cumulative net income or profit that the business has been making on time to time basis, right? Which also flow to the balance sheet. So at the end of the day, when you have your liabilities plus your equity, you must also add back to what you have as your asset. which is why we always say it must always balance. The balance sheet will always balance. The liability plus equity must always equal assets. Let's say, for instance, your total asset for the period is 1 billion. By the time you add in your liabilities plus your equity that you have, to also equate that 1 billion, right? So that's it. So why this matters? Why does it really matter? So you wonder that why does it really matter since FP&A do more of analysis and all of that? Why does it really matter to FP&A? So every financial transactions affect at least two accounts, right? So this is the fundamentals of the double entry. FP&A professional must understand how these journal entries flow into the P&L balance sheet account. The reason why it matters with FP&A is because FP&A work with financial data, accounting data, and for you to be able to understand how these numbers are made up, you must understand these journal entries, this DNA of finance, right? Because without that, you will not be able to understand or flow or explain, understand the language the accounting guys are speaking, right? So take for instance, FP&A professional must understand journal entries. Journal entries in the sense that in accounting there's something we call double entry principles, which says that there's always in every transaction there's always a corresponding entry. What does it mean? Let's say you have a particular um, an amount. Let's say you pay a particular amount to for a service, right, to a vendor through cash. Automatically in that transaction there are two accounts. So one is reducing and one is actually increasing, right? In this case, you paid money to a vendor that you bought something from your bank account, right? Automatically, your bank account or cash is reducing while it's going out to the payable, which is also reducing your payable, the amount that you're owing, right? So that's the corresponding entries that you're having. That means you can also, when they are posting this journal, because at the end of the day, this accounting guy is going to give you this trial balance that we're going to work with. Trial balance we call which represent the summary of all the events or transactions that have happened within the period, right? Now, it says that in every transaction, there's going to be a corresponding entry, right? So you took money from your bank, which is one, right? And also you paid another person, you paid a vendor, which is the payable guys, payable in your liability, sitting liability, that you people that you have been paid with cash. And when you took money from cash, in account to say you took money from your cash, that means you are reducing your cash. That is an entry. That is one side. The other side is to knock it off, to balance it off. It's going somewhere. Where is the place that is going to? It's going to payables because you're actually paying payables, right? It's using your payable, right? So like that. So that's it's always the corresponding entry. You must sometimes when you see an account, somebody posted an account, they are not seeing the other leg. It might be angry. Maybe the person posted one leg, but did not post the other side of it. That is the reason why you must understand it because sometimes when you are working, you see the no balance. Oh, this transaction, how did you treat it? Where did you post it to? Or you posted it to this account. Where is the other leg sitting? Where did you go to? Which of the account did you debit? Which one did you increase? Right? So you need to understand this all aspect. That is the reason why the journal entry flow into because at the end of the day, this is what flows into the P and L, profit and loss statement, the balance sheet, and the cash flow statement overall. So that's the essence of it. Um, I think that's simplified enough, and I believe that you can understand. So the debit and credit rules also like good rules. I'll give you the good rules to understanding this how these journal entries work actually. Because back then in school, the way they taught us, they make it very more difficult for us that we can't really understand. But this is a very simple way. If you understand this good rule, you could be able to understand our treatment in transaction. Now, for example, now when it comes to debit, every asset, the debit entry will increase an asset. What do I mean? If you debit a bank account, automatically you are increasing it, right? If you debit a bank account, automatically you are increasing it. An asset account, whether being back, whether an asset account could be properties, plant property and equipment, machineries and all of that. Your receivables and assets, people that own you, money, people that own you, asset what you own, right? What you own. So if you make a debit entry, automatically you are on that account, automatically you are increasing it, right? Automatically, you are seeing that there's an increase in that value of that asset. There's increase in your cash. There's increase in your PPE like that. But a debit entry will increase your expenses. Understand it. So that is what I'm saying. A debit entry will increase your asset. A debit entry will increases your expenses. Right? If you debit an expense account, like you pay for utilities, pay for subscription, pay for other things. When you debit an expense account, maybe utility account, automatically you are increasing it, right? Which shows that you actually spend money, right? You are increasing it. If you want to increase that liability, you debit. Now, a debit entry will also decrease your liabilities. When you debit your liability, take for example, your loan or your payable vendors that you are owing, you debit that account. Automatically you are reducing your liability. You are saying that you have paid out some money and your liabilities, people that are owing is going down. So a debit entry will always decrease your liability and also reduce your equity and also decrease your revenue. Now, a debit entry on your revenue will decrease your revenue. After you see your revenue is going down, that maybe you refund some amount like that. But the credit entry revenue is always credited whenever every month because it's what you have received or paid for that period, right? So if you automatically you decrease your revenue, you debit your revenue, automatically you are saying that you are reducing revenue. That means there is a refund, probably the refund or something that you made, refund the client. So you want to reduce, which what you have actually recognized as revenue, you want to now reduce it by that amount and say no. So a debit entry on your revenue will reduce your revenue. While a credit entry in this aspect on your assets is going to decrease it. So you understand it. If you make a debt, a credit entry, the capital gain a credit asset from automatically is decreasing it, right? And also a credit entry on your expenses will also decrease your expenses like that. And liabilities as well. And so as well, the credit entry will increase your liability. See that is the opposite. The credit entry will also increase your equity, your owner's stake, and also the credit entry will also increase your revenue. So the dealer memory is usually use the dealer in a simpler way to understand. Use the acronym memories of dealer to understand this. Dealer means dividends, expenses, assets, which means debit to increase anything that falls between D, E, and A. D and A, you debit to increase it. The LER, which is your liability, equity, and revenue, credit to increase. Right? So use this acronym to understand. Think that this is clear enough. If you have any questions, you can actually throw it up to the house. My second third slide here, which is reading the journal entries, FP&A context, right? Understanding journal entries. So we've actually gave you the golden rules on how this way which will understand. So let's go further to make some typical examples on how this thing works, right? Say for instance, there's a particular transaction here. See a particular scenario. A company receive 50,000 cash payment from a customer for service rendered. The company received 50,000 cash payment from the customer for service rendered. Now, in March, I want to record this transaction now on the system. Now, there are two accounts. Let's go into that. There are two accounts. There is the results that I've joined, that I've shared. I will be sharing with you guys. You see on the resource there, which you can actually use quickly to understand your journal entry, right? Make sure you read it, understand it perfectly, right? Now, do you look at this level? The company received 50,000 cash from the customer for service rendered. There are two accounts that are involved here. First of all, when you see a very particular transaction that has happened, two accounts is always involved. You must identify those two accounts. Now, if you look at this account, the company received cash. That means cash is an asset there, right? So, for payment for cash payment from a customer for service render, that means I render service to a customer, right? And the customer now give me cash, right? So two things are involved there, cash and revenue, right? Maybe I did the service and the client is paid for the service. And the cash there is an asset. The revenue there, so which is I am going to debit my asset. Debiting my asset means that I am increasing my bank because I have rendered service. The client has paid, my bank account has now increased. has not gained value. So I will debit it, which is according to the golden rule that we have here. If you debit it, increase. Initially, my bank account was zero, but because I have made service and I've received payment, my account has increased from zero to 50,000, which is they made a debit entry. Actually, I have increased my cash in the bank to 50,000, which is what you are seeing here, debited, which is like now. Then your revenue after which is the other leg. Now, if you debit only this one, and you leave it like that and you are done. The work is not done. One leg is hanging. Don't forget that we say that in accounting, it's a double entry principle, vice versa. In every transaction, there is a corresponding entry, right? Now, you raise one leg into the car, but there's still one leg hanging, which is the revenue. The revenue that you render to the client that he paid you money for. Now, the revenue, you are going to credit it. Why you are crediting? Because on your book, you are going to increase your revenue because you sold something, right? Your bank gained the cash, while your revenue account is increasing because you actually sold an item. So while this cash here is going to impact, the cash here will impact your balance sheet report that you have gained value of 50,000, while this will affect your P&L account, profit or loss account, that you have sold an item, right? So that's how it works. So FP&A implications. So revenue of 50K recognized feed into monthly revenue actuals, right? The BS balance sheet, which the cash increases input current ratios and liquidity metrics in the balance sheet. And the CF, which also operates cash flow inflow, reflects in cash operation from the operation, right? So I think that is very simple. And on the next slide here, which we'll be looking into chart of account and the impact on FP&A reporting. Now, in accounting, we have what we call chart of accounts. Chart of accounts here help us to name assets, help us the way of categorizing assets, right? Categorizing these accounts, these items. Now, well, like I said, we have assets, these five buckets. We have assets, then we have finance, asset, liabilities, equity, revenue, COGS, and profits. Now, for us to be able to identify them because under this asset, there are a lot of items that are going to fall under this asset. Asset is the general word that we are using to categorize all the things that we had, that we say we own, we had, yet to ourselves. Right? Under this asset, don't forget your motor vehicle is there, which is falls under your property, plant, and equipment. Right? Don't forget your inventory you have in the store is there, it's part of your asset. So they all have other sub parents that fall under this parent category of an asset. Now we need something to identify them on the system. We now said, okay, we'll call our asset 1,000, 1,000. Now anything that falls under 1,000 is asset. You can have 1,001, 1,002. When you say 1,001 is inventory, 1,002 is cash, 1,003 is property, machinery, motor and vehicle. Like that. So they fall under the category of an asset, which fall under what you can try to call it an asset with two, or even to be confusing. When you say every account that you see that starts with 1,000 is an asset, just for naming convention, right? Naming convention and easy for easy identification. Sometimes because when you are debiting this transaction and EIP system, you tend to work with this code more, right? What is the GL code? When you hear the GL code, it tells you what is the GL number of that transaction, of that account that you are debiting. So once you get the GL number, which is all these names that you are seeing, 1,100, hey, oh, I said my inventory is 1,002, which is just GL code. You use that to check the transaction and how to want to debit and credit. So it's a naming convention like that. 2,000, we have to take all my liability to start from 2,000 plus my 1,002, like that. Then 3,000 for my equities, 4,000 for my revenue category. If your revenue have multiple revenues, because there are businesses that do to take down for example, there are many revenue lines. We have revenue that's coming from cement, we have revenue that's coming from sugar, we have revenue for spaghetti. So they are all lines of revenue. But the overall categorization naming is called revenue. And some of them together is give you revenue. But if you want to see what make up this revenue, that's when you now see spaghetti, sugar, cement. Under this revenue, you can now see 4,001 sugar, 4,002 spaghetti like that. So they have different revenue line that falls under the so it's just a naming convention, right? So we have the cash, ARO, internship, fixed asset, we have loans, acquired expenses, retaining, I also have prepayment and an asset to like that and all of that. So this is how what chart account is all about. And here which is advanced essay for FP&A professional. So in this aspect now, we're going to be looking deep into the aspect of advanced essay for FP&A. We're going to be looking into the small major advanced formula and dynamic arrays formula that we use dynamically when we are doing some FP&A analysis, right? So that's one aspect we'll be looking at. All these are just, I won't be looking into this, we'll be discussing them practically so that you understand how it fully works, right? So I'll quickly run you through, before that, let's run into the practical aspect of this. So diving into the practical aspect of this, let me look for the data we'll be using. I think this should be the data. Okay, so this is the data we're going to be using, right? So on this scale, so the very function there we usually use in um, match is match. Match function here tells you that, for example, in this case now that I have a data here that contains type of cookies. But I want to be able to know what number, what row is a particular cookies belongs to. Right? With match, I will be able to do that. Say for instance, look at this formula here. It's doing what is basically doing is doing match this from this table and tell me what is that. Just like they are saying that okay, now we are looking for, yeah, we are looking, this is the item we are looking for. Fortune cookies rule. What rule is it? What rule is cookies? Fortune. So math can actually tell us that okay, let's look for let's look for and the time equals to match. Every formula in Excel starts with equals to. So when it starts with equals to match, match tells you that oh now look at it. What are you looking for? What is the value you are looking for? The value we are looking for is this fortune. I'm going to freeze this fortune, right? I'm going to freeze fortune. You have quality, right? You have a dollar at the middle and a dollar at the front of it. When you are freezing it, you are telling it that you don't want it to shift out of here, even if you're driving towards here or any direction of say shift. Right? Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look up array. Where am I looking at for? Um this is where fortune is sitting. I'm going to highlight everything here, right? I'm going to freeze this one to as well, right? And I'll enter it. Okay. Enter it. Now it's telling me that it's five, which is wrong, right? I'll move this. I'll move this because I don't supposed to put this zero here. But I put zero is not going to. It's telling me this five, which is not because sorry, because cotton here is because it's counting this one. So we are going to start from sorry. So we're going to start from here. We're going to start from right. You see, it's giving me because I'm starting from cookies. This is where you get numbers are started. It's telling me that cookie is in row four, which is what I have a look at cookie number four. Cookie is number four. So that's the function of how to use match. We are doing this over you are looking up the array, which is what you are looking at for, in the column, the lookup array that you are looking at for where the thing is sitting. So matter is saying that it's four. That's for that format. Yeah, but let's see how we can combine index match together to solve more bigger problems. I think for instance now that you have a particular piece of data, this is it, whereby country sees data, this is revenue, or sees by different region, countries, right? We have Portugal, we have Spain and all of that, and this is their six value. Now you want to be able to use index match to be able to return a particular country's number. Let's take for instance, might be in a presentation meeting or with the stakeholders and we have opened a large number of Excel like this, which nobody has time to come and be scrolling and be searching for a particular number, right? You can easily ask, please, what sales does Belgium make for the month, right? With index amount, you'll be able to do that. mean that you just have, okay, for instance, let's say we are looking for Belgium, right? I'll say index match here help you empirically look for an item. So I'll say index match. And what am I looking at for? This is the item that I want to return, right? This is index match item that what the array. What is the array that you want to return? This is the array of foods I don't want you to move, right? This is the array that I'm looking at for. I want the number where the number is sitting, where I want the column that I want the number to return. Yes, this is the number. Then I will not use match, right? I'll combine match. I like using match because not a match and index match is a very powerful combo because it just increase VLOOKUP and other things. It's powerful actually, right? So then match, I'm not saying match is not saying that what are you looking for? Look at what is the local value. Local value here is this begging. We're looking at for begging. What is begging made for the month, right? Then I'll recommend. I'm freezing it again. That's my necessarily because I leave it like that. But freezing it means that they are telling you say that you don't want it to move out of this place, right? Then when you see a double freezing colon like this, they are saying that you have to stamp it, you have to be here. Right? What is the lookup array? Where is Belgium sitting? This is the column Belgium city. I will highlight everything here and freeze it. Then okay, like I said, you can sign up to free yes. You can see that saying Belgium is 18, says made by Belgium for the month is 1850, which is what you are seeing here. Um, what you are seeing here, this is Belgium, right? Belgium. So this you see is returning the same value as what I have here. If you change here to let's say France, right? You see that it's going to dramatically change and take France. Look at France here. They ask me now, what about Switzerland or Australia? Type Australia, so we don't type it correctly, it's going to pick Australia, right? So that's how you can actually combine English and math. Then let's move further to see how we can use it to solve two multiple criteria, right? Two multiple criteria. When in the situation where you have two multiple criteria, what do I mean? For example, now you see that you have two multiple criteria. We have Portugal and German. Now you want to be able to drill down to a particular number. Now they tell you that your boss or your saver ask you that, please, what is the sales amount for Portugal in the month of January? Now instead of you now to be scrolling like this or be searching for Portugal like this, you want to be able to drill down to what Portugal has. That's just you get. So let's do work out an example. Like let's see that we want to the first criteria here is now. So the first criteria here now is we say index, we use index match, right? The index match here, we're going to, this is the array, like I said, this is the array that we're looking at for. I'm going to freeze it, I don't want it to read. Then I'm going to use my match. Right? My match value is saying now that, so, so what is the value I'm looking at for? The first one criteria that I'm looking at for is Portugal, right? It's Portugal. Then comma, it's telling me where is Portugal sitting. Portugal is sitting in this row currently. It's here. It's here. This is the row for countries. I'm going to freeze and put comma zero. Zero means I need an exact match, right? And I'm going to go again and use match eh? To look for the other criteria. What is the criteria? Which is this one, January. Comma. Where is January sitting? Where is sitting on this row here? This is January. I'm going to freeze it, right? I put comma zero. Close it. Yes. Now you can see that he has shown that January here is 65. January Portugal made $65,458 in the month of January, which is what you are seeing here. This is what you are seeing here. Right? So if you decide to change here to France in the month of January, see it. You pick France. This is France, France is 99. You change here to July, right? You change here to July, it's going to change. This is France in July 105, which is what you are seeing here. So dynamically like that, you change here. You can even decide to put a data validation here, right? Take for instance, when I mean data validation, you can decide to put data validation here and say, okay, instead of it to be typing in, can you put a drop down here? I can read this one, I put the data validation, the already data validation. Um, yeah, this is I put data validation, do this, I pick, I pick this. Yeah, right? So okay. So when someone really pick this and everything, you can see a drop down of all the months. So as you select it, you see that it's automatically picking. Yeah, but you can also make this one by the data validations. Come here, put the data validation, do this, right? And that one can easily pick, right? Come here and select all the countries that you have. That's why it won't be typing it and easy for, right? So when one easily picked Italy here and pick here, you can easily see that you see the way the amount is changing and be able to without necessarily scrolling with his eyes and trying to look for a particular number. So that's how it works. That's why index match can actually combine them. And that's how we can use that for multiple criteria available, right? So let's move further to see how we can combine it with three criteria. Now we've looked at how to use index and match for multiple or two multiple variables. Now let's see how we can use it on three criteria. If, for example, find out add this specific line in an income statement. Well, for example, you want to find out a particular item, right? Three criteria. This criteria dynamically without necessarily her doing the one after the other. Now you want to dynamically start from one. For example, this is what I'm saying. Now, now, this is what I'm saying. Now we have some data here. So you want to summarize just bring only the revenue, gross profit, and net profit at the high level, right? So we are starting off with, let me just take this one down, right? So now we're starting from 2020, 2020. Now I do an index match. I say the index match here, what am I looking at for? This is the array of the data that I'm looking at for, right? Let me put this one here because I want to show you something. So let me take this one off. Let me take this one off because it's one that actually there in the class, right? So, so this was an example I used to try. So we are starting from 2020, right? So, or you can let's start from 2021, 2019, right? About 2019. So we now decide to use index funds, right? Index, sorry. In every formula you're writing, so you must put an equal to. So index funds, right? Index match here. This is the array of the data you are looking at for, right? I will freeze it here. Command. I'll still use that index match, right? That we did earlier before. Now, what am I looking at for? The first criteria, we have three criteria. The first criteria here is revenue, right? So where is my revenue? Where is my revenue sitting? So I want it to be able to move to I want it to be able to move dynamically across row. So I'm going to put a dollar sign at the beginning, right? Because I will be dragging towards this side, right? And also I want it, where is it? This is the place it's setting. I will freeze this one, column where the revenue is. I will freeze it. I put the double dollars here like this. We are freezing it. To be there. It's not going to move, right? I'll put zero, which is an exact match. Then I'll put another match again, another match again. What am I looking out for? This time around is 2020, the date. Now I'm going to put the dollar sign at the middle because I want it to move between columns. I'm putting the dollar sign at the middle because I want it to move between columns. The next thing I'm going to do is, where is this gate sitting currently? The gate is sitting here. Our already code, the array is the array. I'm going to freeze it because I don't want it to move, right? So I'm going to come here and put zero. It's not that. If you see 2019 revenue is this, when I pick it, so if I drag across, I should be able to get what I'm looking for. You see that? You see? Gross profit, what's gross profit? Gross profit is 18 that it has picked it. Without necessarily raising picking because I've anchored everything and everything is picking up dynamically, right? So I can easily drag across or it automatically give me what I want. Look at it. Look at revenue for 2020, which is here. Look at it here. Net gross profit, which is here. Net profit, net income, which is here as well, right? Like that it is. Let's say for instance you introduce a new column, a new here on this your data, on this your income statement, and you want to include it here. And because it's not your ability to equals 2024, right? Let's apply the same format in here. Let's apply the same format. Let's apply the same format in here, right? So let's apply the same format in here, right? So now I will just replicate this other data. Let's say this is the other data that we have. Right? You choose another one. And if you put 2024 here, right, you drag this, it's going to be showing you because as at when you do this table, this analysis, this table, you did not extend the data towards here because you have introduced another one. So what you just need to do is either you come here, right? See this place now, just come here and drag this one to the end to cover for the table of that other one. Or that the new column I'm going to use. And also drag here too as well. That's all you need to do. You enter it. And you can easily drag it across so that everything will just flow along, right? Drag it and drag it across. See, you pick up the value that you have here. That is it. Or if you don't want to do it, you can start from here. And so okay, click. This is what the formula is saying. But just to maintain consistency, you can start from the beginning, right? Like that. You don't need to start at the formula and drag it across into one family. So that's how to use it economically for three criteria. And let's look at the fourth one that we have here before we move to the data cleaning aspect of it, right? So the fourth one that we have here is now let's say for instance you have how to combine index and match to achieve where you have multiple four variable. Now, for example, this is the data that you have that has to give particular sales number by country, by year, and by frame value. That is a whole lot. You want to see particular country number, but because index and match has limit, the number of parents, sub-parents that you can put in the parents, right? How do you now solve for the order when you have multiple criteria? So this is how to go about it. Let's say, for instance, the first thing you do, let's say the first thing you do here, we'll use the index match. We use the index match, right? Which I think is a very powerful combo. Where is the array? This is the number where we want to return, right? I'm going to, right? And now, the first thing here is match. Use match. Match is what is the first criteria we're looking at for. The first criteria here is Bulgaria, which is this. And I'm going to call it. Sorry. Bulgaria. Now, if I decide to anchor one, I'm going to find because I'm not moving anywhere. I'm not dragging to the left or right. So, again, what is the value? Now they have looked up value. What is the lookup array? Where is Bulgaria sitting? Bulgaria is sitting under the column of countries. I like everything here. That's right. We want an exact match, equal zero. So the next one now is the final match, which we will write. But we have three more, we still have two more criteria, which is 2023 and pay value, right? And I'm going to do last match here, which is match, right? Match in this case is what is the value I'm looking at for, right? This is I'm looking at for this value, right? I want it to be, increase it. I'll put an upper sign Putting an upper sign means that you want to introduce another criteria, right? Which is this criteria that I have, right? I want I can freeze it, but I want to, like I said, comma. And the next thing is, what is the first criteria? The first criteria is this, which is this, right? And I'm going to freeze. I'll put an upper sign to introduce the other criteria, which is February, the month of February. Where is February sitting? It's sitting in colon or row here, right? I'm going to freeze it as well. And put colon, right? You see that it has drilled down and give me what I wanted. It has drilled down and has given me what I wanted, right? Listen, sorry. Right. So that is it. Now it's showing that Bulgaria is Bulgaria. Bulgaria is here. Look at Bulgaria. Bulgaria 2023, 2023 is here, which is 1239, right? So these are to combine index and margin too. So this formula comes very handy because you're going to use it a lot. It's going to help you help you work for automation, for anything, make your work very faster and all of that. So it's all about which I'll be sharing this data with you for you to practice. There are other lot more formulas you can actually do. Just a bonus, I have a bonus one for us that you can look at too. Now we have the last one before we move to our data cleaning aspect of it. So we have sales person, see how to sum multiple values seemingly, right? For example. Now, for example, we have it says value. Um, but it says value in that company we just have one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Eight staff that are reporting on sales value, right? On a monthly basis or daily basis. Now we have Steve, but Steven here is appearing more than one. Maybe Steve on the first day of January he reported 92. But Steve is also appearing here again. He's appearing here because he keeps reporting. But how do you sum the value once for Steven and in a particular month, right? That's what we want to look at for today. So, like I said, you can put a data validation here. What I did initially was, okay, let me just clear this off. Clear this off. So what I did initially is, first of all, you can do both ways. You can do something like, first of all, you want to do something like, you can do something like, okay, let me use unique. So let me use unique. You can do something like this, unique, right? You can do something like this, unique. You need get the unique names that you have here, no matter how they are appearing. So you have just 7%, right? Right? Next thing you want to do, you can also bring out the date here, right? Like I said, you might decide to do it like this, right? You want to summarize them. You cannot do sum, you can even do equals to summing. Equals to summing will give you automatically sum everything for you, right? Let's use sum if. Sum if give if you have multiple criteria to sum, right? What is the sum value that we are looking at for? Right? This is the sum range. This is the sum range. Yes, this is the sum range. So I'll put the dollar, I want it to move between rows, the middle, right? What is the criteria? The first criteria is here. I will create this one, right? Then I'll create this one. I want it to move. Criteria, I'll put the dollar sign here, right? Then the next thing I want to do is what is it sitting? The next criteria is January, right? I can do January is here. I'll freeze January, right? Comma. And this is what I want. January is here. I'll click the criteria and also one after the other like this. I want it to move between columns, right? And I click enter. It's giving me any value that is not available. Why? Let's see why. January is here. The person is still grade one, We have criteria. Range 2, I have criteria. So, okay. Let's see what's happening. Why not some? Okay. Could be that these numbers are no values. Let's see. Are no values. Let's see why. So these are some of the challenges you face sometimes when you get numbers like this. Okay. So let's see where it's not something anything for us. It's moving, but it's not something anything for us. It's moving, but it's not something anything for us. So we're supposed to, I don't know what let me say. So okay, either you do it that way or you can try to do some with. Let's try some, right? Which is this is the range. This is the range. So you can do some with this is the range, right? So I want you to move the two rows. So this is the range, right? First range, right? So the next criteria is this. Okay, this one I want it to move here, comma. And I think that's what I want. The sum range is this. I want it to move between and type, right? You see, I can decide to do it like this and do it like this. This is also fine. This also works for us, right? One can easily see the sum for stay for each month and all of that. You can just do something like this. Huh? Do something like this. And then you have the total here, right? This can give you column total, right? This can give you, so this is, you can see that you have summarized everything and one can easily understand. And this can use itself as sum or this can be your whole total. Sum from yourself equals to and I'll make sum down. Control D will bring it down for you. So that's the control arrow will fill it for you, right? So this is that two, right? This is that two. You can still do it this way. But again, this is a table, but we don't want to go this extra mile. You can use that's where the filter function comes to play, right? First of all, you drill down, you drill down, you drill down. Let's do that. Now, we do some, sorry, we do filter. The first array is this. So the first array, so the sixth person, let's put CV here, CV here, right? And the month we're looking at for, let's put February here, right? So the first array, because we put Stephen and February, that's why it's quick. So the first array here, you can see that we do filter, which alerted, if you click here, which alerted everything that we have here, right? And the column that you are drilling to, right? Then and the month. So let's say first of all, I'm using filter to drill down. I say filter, right? What is the array? This is the array. Like I said, I'm going to freeze it, comma, include what? This is the column that I'm looking at for, right? Equals to, I'll freeze this one, equals to Stevie. Do you get? When I click this, it's going to spill, it's going to spill all what Stevie has. Now, it's going to spill all the value for Stevie. Look at Stevie here, all the column for Stevie. It's going to spill it out. Look at Stevie, where Stevie appears for each month. It's going to spill all what Stevie has for each month, right? That's it. But that's not what we want. We are not supposed to solve the problem. The next thing I'm going to include another filter. Again, filter on top of this one that I have done. Now, I am going to be the last column is this. Criteria is this one. Here's this one. Equals to this. Right? And click OK. Right? Now, I have still been able to solve the problem. Now, he has filled and filtered just for February. Now, this is Stevie, February, is appearing here. Stevie, Stevie, and Stevie here again. Right? So these are the three Stevie data that you have seen this one. So that will change it to January. Change it like that. But this has also some problem. The next thing is we want to be able to sum, regardless how many times Stevie is appearing, we want to be able to sum everything, this value 1, 2, 3, together to give us this 2771. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to introduce sum to it. I'm going to introduce sum. Let's give me what I want, right? Automatically see, we have summed everything CDI for the month of January, which is this and this. What these are say 1, 2, 3. You see 2, 5, 7, 3, 9. So these are to use filter functions to solve multiple criteria. You just change it to Billy automatically update, pick match here, good. So you can decide, you can see that Steven is what we have here. The first place, see billing, match. Billing match is 70 is here based on this table that we have done. So it's like that in a way. So it's very simple. I'll be dropping this data with you guys for you. So the next one we'll be looking into, let's go back to our slide. I will have here is data structural data. In FP&A, you will work with a lot of structured data. Our structured data is data that is never clean. FP&A spend most of their time in data structuring, in data analysis, cleaning, because you don't want to do an analysis whereby you are seeing an requirement. Most of these data are stored in internal database, right? You have a particular analysis you want to work on, a problem you're trying to solve, and you're looking at sources for data. You went to the company internal base to pull out their data, and their data is looking very unstructured and clean, which likely most of your formulas might not work if you don't treat them clean them properly to or structure them the way that you'll be able to do that. This is some of the things we're going to be looking at how to clean data and how to structure them properly. 80% of FP&A is spent cleaning data. Master this and you change your number. So that's the main part of FP&A. So because I'll tell you that how to go and get a sense, you spend most of your time to do data cleaning. Then the main 3% is just few small analysis right? So sometimes you are not very good and you don't have problems there, you have to manipulate or clean data. You will have problems, you have challenges working with it, right? Because when you don't know how to clean data or structure data, how then do you do the analysis? Right? You might even know how to do the analysis, but when the data is not valid clean, you're not able to present them properly. So those are the limitations. So that's the area we're going to be looking at. So we're going to be treating functions that you usually use. Right? There are many other ones there though, right? There are many formulas. We also use like things like trim, which helps to remove or lead or trace species from accounting. Say for instance, Somebody, because some people don't really know how to type numbers themselves. So when you type numbers, you put unnecessary space in those cells. And when you are writing from one of those spaces are there, no red schema underlined. When you write your formulas, it might not work, right? Also, once you can also use clean to remove any non-printable characters, right, from the imported data. Maybe you imported data from the database and to say I have seen some symbols or characters and all of this. I use clean to clean the set values and all of that. We also have upper and lower case, which is standard, like test case, call centers name and all of that. When you are seeing some names, some of the letters are in capital letters, some are in small letters, they're just looking very long and every that can use upper, lower, uppercase. Also we have substitutes. This number is test, length is blank and blank, what have you, right? So take for example, see like a structured data, unstructured data that I have, where this data is very mixed, right? Someone can easily understand all this data, right? So we have January, we have February, we have March. Do you get? So marketing, we have my amount, the amount. If it someone writes 1.2 million here, naira short, and you put in there the full value, put in there the small value test. So this data is very, very unstructured, unlikely, right? Man is confused. Here you're writing 1.350 million, right? Million, but here now you're writing, you write the full value here. You not include the naira, but one can really tell whether it's dollar or naira, right? And here now in January, we are now including naira 1.2 million in short. You not show the full value. So it's very confusing and very, very unstructured and uncommon data, which can be misinterpreted. Plus, we have 50, 950K like that. So these are some kind of so formats, inconsistent currencies, and use cannot use in some. That this kind of thing you cannot use in some way. Right? You have to wait on it. But look at this one now. After this was I feel clear. Look at after when you have structured it. So this one makes it like this is very more professional. Right? You have a department, month, year, and amount. Marketing, January, February, January, right? 2026, 2022. See the amount very clear and well. Uh, right? So they are very if they are very way to structure it might not be this way, but at least formatting and consistent header, separate dates, components, no subroom and all of that. So that's it. So we're going to look into some. So we have some of the power query, is very common now, but we're going to see this today. We'll just talk about it, which will help you to transform more large data in Excel, right? So that's with two key takeaways. At the end of this section, you have learned what journal entry. Every journal entry has a debit and credit. Understanding this lets you trace any number in your financial model back to the source of transaction. Now, if you understand journal entries, you will not have challenge whenever there's no GA account on your company. But when I was looking at the API account, I also drill data down. You can also drill down the system to see the detailed data generated from and what the team has done there. Yeah. So if you have a proper knowledge, I'm going to go to diagnose where the issue is. Now let's look up an index manager. You go to look up to master the manager. You never get stuck between data and large data set. Summit is the FP&A should handle knife, budget minus actual we use the loss cost center analysis, variance reporting, all rely on this, right? So clearly structuring data is the foundation of reliable FP&A. Garbage in, garbage out applies without full information model, right? So that's a good work. You must have completed this training. Coming up, we'll be looking at financial statement, and all of that, right? Budgeting, framework, and other process. So let's look into some data cleansing for an example. Now, for example, I have this is typical unstructured data that I have, right? I have a very unstructured data. Now, if you have a data like this, you can't share this with management. The management will not understand that this item that you can direct data from a database to look like this. But it's very unstructured. Management will look at it, so what is this one saying? What is this? But I now do not tell them that they should expand this. They should expand this to see the values. That's so these are some of the things. Once you get the data, what you need to do, I always like keeping I always like keeping a copy of my data. Right? I'll make another copy of what I have. Right? So this is what we'll be working on. So first thing I will extend this one. These are all color. I can decide to highlight everything and highlight the height, rules and everything. Right? So I'll just come here. So these are very unlikely, right? So I like using the font. I'll make this one 10. I don't like I like using consistent font style, right? So it's looking more better. Now I cannot send this to management because extend this thing, you see the data that data is unclean and very unstructured. Look at this. Look at the white spaces I was talking about. Somebody typed this value B Smith and he put so unnecessary space. What is all this space before typing? It's supposed to start from the beginning here. So things like this, camera can easily recognize such a text number, text transactions like this. Right? You get so these are some of the things you do. Right? First of all, you want to like if I were to clean this data now, I want to work, but I won't be able to work. I won't be able to make the match of that. I will come here. I will clean testing. I'll clean this. I'll call this one contact. Right? Now I want to clean this column. I want to clean it. I can use trim, like I said, one of the formula that I mentioned, to trim this particular cell. Now this is it. You see, trim has organized it. That's move on what necessary white space. I do equals to trim three. You can see that it has reduced and organized this thing properly for me in the way it should be. Right? I can also do I can also do I can also do equals to proper just give me this step. And proper here will give me, but it will not be organized. Proper here is going to like give for example now we have me Michael. Michael here is the Michael here is in the I and C is in capital letter. Meanwhile, it's supposed to be an uppercase on the beginning and the way is still capital letter S and then capital letter. But here we have capital letter IC, which is wrong letter. So look at this one too. Brenda is in capital letter, Wallet in the small letter. So proper way to organize your sentence case is small or in a consistent format. But it will not remove unwise pieces, which the number of things are looking very okay. But again, I can combine the both of them and can put him here, him, and put the proper number, right? Which give me what I want. Right? See, now to organize everything. If I use only proper, if I use only tree is not going to solve the problem of the proper, right? Which you still have some case. You see Brenda is still having Brenda Brenda West, right? That's some are still capital letter, some are still small letter. But I can combine the two and put proper and tree together as well. Or tree and proper together, right? So this is it. So when I drag this one down, you can everything falls properly. See everything looking good. So I'm going to copy this and paste as value because I'm going to delete this column. I don't want it. So it's no longer useful, right? If I don't really paste it as value, like I delete that column, everything is going to. If I don't paste it as value, let me just show you what will happen. If I delete this column, you see that this will be showing F value because it does not have the cell I was referring to. Right? So I'm going to copy this one and paste it as value. So I will have the formula in it and I'll delete this column. Right? So this is what. So it will not be looking like this. Everything is looking perfect and sleek. Right? Looking professional. So we are not done. You see, there are still some more other things we can actually do here. Right? So we fix that. So let's see what else can we do on this data. Right? Now the date again. This date here, one can easily interpret it can be confusing. What I want to do some again, I would like to see I want to show the date properly. Let me call this one right? I want to show the date properly. Now I can use test and say okay, I want the date to be showing months, months, comma, month, hyphen, and year. The short 2023, right? That's all I want it to show, right? You see, I like it that someone can easily interpret in May 2023. Or I want us to see the day. I can put DD hyphen this. Right? This give me 30th May. May is now in text instead of the number. One can easily read and understand these numbers, these things. Right? It's looking more better now. 30th May 2023. I can write this one in full. Write this one in full. Right? You see? May 2023. Can just read the date like this. So I'm reading the very short. So now I like the date like this. I'll move that one, don't like the other one, copy, paste as value, and convert this one, don't want this one anymore. Right. So this is now my new date. New date, this is now my new contract. Right. So now anything I'm going to do is now let's take example. Right. Look at this data now. The in this department, they added the department and the country together. See for example, big data. Big data is a department. You now added the country together, California. Now, for example, now you want to sort this data by country, you will not be able to do that. You want to sort this data by department, you will not be able to do that because you merge cloud, test, and the department and the country together. So how do you now split it? I can easily do this by letting this. The function in itself, which says that please split test to column, split test to column. I'll just click on this. Um, I'm going to use a delimiter which I have. What is the delimiter? The delimiter here is hyphen, hyphen, hyphen. What does it mean? I am automatically saying that you should split this text using this symbol. Then anything after this field, hyphen should be splitted, should be taken to another column. Right? That's simply what I am saying. You should do from. I can see the market, so it's splitting all this one after the other. So let's see how it goes. And I can see that I've already printed it. You see all the department, all the countries and all that. And I call this one country, right? We see everything media Florida and department. Now it's looking very well structured and look, but again we still have some concern. When we see here, there is blank. Why? Why is there no payment transaction? What means was they use in making this transaction? And again, we have revenue. There's no revenue there, but we have profit. So these are three some minors that you can investigate to know what happened. Or maybe it was as a result of one that losing or something like that happened. But don't just take it up like that. You investigate as we have this particular transaction, there is no payment. Why did this person pay? There must be was it checking? Probably somebody did not forget to enter this information, something like that. Or you just just want to investigate. The revenue too. There's no revenue here, but there's profit. How come? Right? So these are some questions. You here too. You can investigate and ask questions. But right? So the next thing I would like to do, everything is looking sticky. Okay? Here is showing these people will not understand that. I'll just go into it. It matter because it's doing profit divided by this to give you a profit margin, right? I'm going to introduce sorry, I need to plug my laptop. So I'm going to introduce this error to knock out that div. And this is why I'm showing that div is because this is why I'm showing that div because it's doing this divided by zero, nothing is here. So profit cannot be divided by zero. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to come here. I will introduce if error, comma. I want it to be zero, but I leave it to blank. Right? So once I drag it down, it will be okay. Right? You can see making sense and everything is well aligned. So these are how you can structure your data. You can even use pivot table for this one. It is like this now. You can use pivot table to summarize this data. So, so you can allow this data and use pivot table. You have a pivot function in Excel. You can allow it and use pivot data. The existing sheet I want to place it here. Right? So this is I can bring the dates to be there. Right? I want to show my dates. I want to show the department column, right? Yes. I want to show the profits. Profits. So you can see this is profits. This is profits by department. Profits, profits by department per month, right? This is showing detail like this can also show that you know what you are doing. Quickly to summarize. Right? So this is profit and all of that. It's about right? So that's it. You can also copy this one again. Copy it, put it here. Say, I want to show by not department. You can put the department as filter. We want to show by countries. You can put the countries. So this is the country, like that. So these are some things you can do. So I think that's all you need to know about for this topic. I'll see you in our next